So you brought up something that I think a lot of people ask about a lot, which is students marching these days often learn a lot about teaching through their experience, and then they take that with them when they become educators. That's why so many music majors, I think, of course, they just want to be in drum corps too, but they have the experience. But I wondered how much you actually think about that. The question we got, which is a really smart one, I'll just read it. Do you teach the members how to teach along the way as you progress through the drum corps summer, i.e., when you're teaching tone quality to your band, you might want to emphasize this or this. Like, do you actually think about that with the members these days? Or how is it? Because I know that it's possible to go through drum corps and just be a marching member and not really learn how to teach. That's not really what they're there to do. But do you guys do that or think about that or now incorporate that more because of the students you have?
Yeah, and it's great. You can get two different perspectives here because Paul's coming from the percussion side and myself from the brass wind side. I don't think I make as much of a thought process of I need to teach them how to teach, but I think the way that I teach, I'm not just telling them you made this mistake. We're talking about, okay, we made this mistake and here are the reasons why those things happen. And I think the people that want to be master educators, they start to understand we're being given the information right now of how we can apply this in the future to our future students. And they see the way that we use our words and the way that we take information and give it out. I think Todd Ryan is one of the masters when it comes to the way he runs a rehearsal, and the people that are paying attention when Todd runs a rehearsal, they can become great teachers just by learning from how he teaches. Kind of like what Paul was talking about earlier about his interactions with my dad at Skyriders. My dad wasn't purposely trying to teach Paul how to be a great teacher, but Paul was learning through that, almost like osmosis.
Yeah, I think that students will rise to the occasion. And I really do. I don't think there's that much difference, honestly, between the troopers or any other corps in terms of talent level and membership. And usually one of the differences is maybe experience level. That might be one of the differences. But
age.
I think that generally speaking, students will rise to the occasion. So if you teach in a more sophisticated and a more in-depth way, the students will get, they'll catch on to that. And I tend to make sure that the students understand fully what they're doing in every context. In the musical context, they need to understand why we're doing this and why we're rehearsing this way. And I think it's a really helpful thing to just explain to them why we're doing something. And before you start repping something endlessly, it's never that way with me, and I would assume with John, you don't just sort of start and you go to the end of the rehearsal. I explained completely what we're doing. We're going to do this section, and this is why we're doing this section, and we're doing it to work on this and this, and we're trying to improve this, and so let's see if we can do it. And so they have a complete understanding of the why we're doing it. And I think as a teacher, don't you think that's like the most helpful thing for a student to know? Like what is behind your team? Why are you telling me this? Or why are we rehearsing it this way? Why are we starting with this section?
It gets them engaged and gets them understanding why you're talking to me and why you're telling me all these things. I think by doing it the way that you're describing too, Paul, that's how we get consistency, and that's how we start to be able to get the most out of the performers, and not just that hope, that cross your fingers and hope that this rep is good. Right. When you're actually talking to them and telling them why we're doing this, and we're going to break it down, and here's how we accurately do these fundamentals and these techniques. I think that's super important. And then, like you said, I 100% agree that students will always rise to the occasion. I've noticed that when I pass out some of the harder music sometimes, that's when they do their best. But if you pass out something that's maybe a little bit watered down, they kind of lower themselves to that expectation level as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's important to keep in mind that they will do that. They want to be challenged, just like us, we want to be challenged. I think students do as well. They want that difficulty in front of them.
Find the entire schedule for the DCI Summer of Learning webinar series at marchingartseducation.com/DCI 2020.